shifting priorities. Not one I would maybe recommend you try to play as Commander Vader, but one that is certainly winnable, and I've kind of come around to actually liking it a lot, in the sense that I don't think I'd even strike it half the time, because, again, it's a POI game, and you're good at controlling them. I'll just say right off the top, my biggest problem, or the biggest problem you may potentially can run into, is burst of speed on shifting priorities can really bite you. No doubt, it makes sense. Um, you spend your burst of speed to try to control a POI for one turn, they're going to move it out of the way, and you have no way to follow that POI next turn. Unless, of course, you do the implacable, burn it, so that way you do get a speed 1 move for a wound. That's going to feel pretty bad. Usually implacable, the whole point is that you can throw 12 red dice and double force push, playing implacable, taking a wound just to be able to make a move. Up to you on if that's going to be worth it. Still get the double force push for your POI because you're probably still within range 1. So, just to clarify what we're talking about, say if Vader is right here, ends this turn of burst of speed. Say you did Vader's Might turn 2 and burst of speed it on. That way you could double move. You secured the POI. Well, they're going to take theirs. They're going to move it the half range over. And now it's over here. So there's a chance that they leave some some enemy units within your range 1 bubble for force push turn 1 of implacable. But probably not. It's if you're playing implacable turn 3, you're probably not really getting almost anything done. Just trying to live through turn 1, activation 1, so that way you can take your wound and try to get into melee, but it's going to be rough. Really what I'm going to try to say is, don't use burst of speed. Save burst of speed for turn 4 or 5 to do something they don't see coming, or, because, say if you've been on these POIs the whole time, you could do it turn 4. If you can burst a speed onto a POI, you're gonna lose, but really you don't want to ever be losing a POI as Vader, so that's probably not smart either. Really, you better be really. I guess what I would say is you have to be really sure if you're gonna use burst of speed with Commander Vader on shifting priorities, and for that reason, because I try not to, shifting priorities is one of the only primaries that I almost always will infiltrate on. Sometimes I'll infiltrate very safe, because sometimes, I'll be honest, the last game I played of this, I think I ended up being here, so I shouldn't have infiltrated. I should have walked onto the board, but that's, again, game state. You have to decide. Just because you took your infiltrate doesn't mean you have to start here and double move up. There's a big piece of terrain that you can safely do that. Awesome, do it, of course. But I played a game that my Commander Vader had to be right about here, and then I had to decide where I was going to go next turn. I made sure that I could double move to get there, but it's not a good example because, again, ideally you don't want to do that. Ideally, there's going to be some kind of big piece of terrain somewhere. It doesn't even have to be big. You're a single model, just something that your Commander Vader can get behind. A little bit of wall, a little bit of something. So that way, I don't really love making it super clear that I can only go to 1. If that's what the game calls for, you're gonna do it. These videos, they're so. I think shifting priorities is just such a varied primary, and you just have to be matching what your opponent is doing. That it's really hard for me to say where Vader should be going. I've played it so many different ways. In general, it's not the fastest, highest scoring primary in the game. That this is not usually one that's kind of decided by the end of turn 3, or usually one person's getting 3 and the other person's getting 2. So I would definitely play it slow with Commander Vader if possible. To within reason. You have to don't give it all up. But I do love, when possible, losing the center with Commander Vader, and then moving it over towards me. Say if, again, in this scenario I put Vader was more here. Say if they ended up putting a bunch of perfect, say 2 or 3 expensive units that are kind of squishy for you, like, and they put them over here, like that's, yeah, your ideal scenario that now Commander Vader can come turns 2 and 3, kill those on the POI, and then start pulling this POI towards me. You know, there's so many factors about the opponent activate you. I'll say shifting priorities I mostly see Rebel players taking and pulling out. And a lot of times they are trying to overwhelm like 4 of the POIs. I've noticed that's been my experience again. You have to just be matching, or you have to be reacting to what your opponent is doing on shifting priorities. It's wide. I've seen people try to contest all 5, try to get, say if I have a really weak side, like I really, which wasn't, say, again, I'm blue player in this scenario, say if I'm just really very clearly not putting units over here to contest these 2 POIs, I mean, I've seen Rebel players then throw just like, say, an AT-RT over here, and a bus over here, and now they put the other 10 acts to try to contest you on the other 3. Like, that can work. So you have to be ready for really whatever your opponent is doing on shifting priorities. But biggest thing usually that I would say if I'm playing Commander Vader is don't ever go for your far ones. It's a no-brainer. So I switch colors just so I'm not doing the same thing, but don't put Commander Vader over here. Bad Batch, any of those things. You just, first off, even other units, it's not as bad because then they can pivot over. Commander Vader is hard to pivot. You're slow. You cannot afford to be, really, I would say, anything besides the center 3. I'll stop circling and drawing things. But yeah, play Commander Vader Central. You think about this one, you're going to have your big courage bubble as long as you stay mostly towards the center. That's very important and helpful. Definitely think it's one of the primaries that you might want to play a little bit slower. Be okay with only really focusing on, say, if these are my 2, but I'm going to start shooting the people on the opponent's units on the center POI that I can then move in my 2 dewbacks or Riot Troopers next turn. Can be a good play. Or say if, again, Vader really cleans up this POI, next turn I can pull this POI a little closer, and now I can double move and either maybe contest both, or even better, put some of my weaker units now to secure that one and move Commander Vader to the new POI location. Very doable. Just kind of one of those ones you always want to be thinking about where those POI is going to go next. This is kind of rambly, I'll be honest, but I think shifting priorities is just one that you have to be very flexible with Commander Vader, and you just got to be playing it. And yeah, that's what I got. Play the secondary is very important for shifting, logically, because it's very often 2 to 3 on the primary. Again, things can go bad 1 to 4, but usually 2 to 3, or it's ties, sometimes only 2 to 2. 2 to 2 is not that uncommon, or, I don't think I've seen 1 to 1, but I've definitely seen 2 to 2 a lot. So, yeah, that's what I got on shifting priorities. Very fun. I like playing it. Definitely interesting game always. So, enjoy.